What up, y'all? It's your boy Riggs, man. Back with another random installment. I know it's been a while since I've been on this. I did a live a little bit ago. Um, you know, just want to make you guys aware, know that I'm okay. I got about 4.5 months sober off all mind-altering substances. Yay! Been busy with the music. Step work, sponsoring other people in AA and whatnot. And, I started feeling some separation anxiety from you guys. And I'm sure you feel the same. So I had to check in and let you know I'm okay. Yeah, life's been good, I've been getting hit on by transsexuals at the AA meetings. I hit the gym every day, you know what I'm saying? And I go in the sauna to get this baby face, smooth, gorgeous skin, right? And like, people are starting to pay attention, man. My DMs are blowing up. Even the trans people at the meetings are like, wow, like that dude is a fucking hot tan guy. My tan's kind of wearing off now that it's September. But yeah, life's good. Life is good. God, what story did I want to tell? I'm vaping again, which sucks. I had about 6 days off nicotine, cold turkey. It was fucking brutal. I was in full withdrawal, like palms sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, eating mom's spaghetti. And I don't know what really triggered it. Maybe just like fucking boredom, but it's also, I was trying to quit because I'm working on this new project that's, it's rap, but it's more like rap metal, and I'm singing in it, so I was trying to save my voice. But I am vaping again, unfortunately, and that's a good vice to have, at least in your first year of sobriety. Like, they say, to not quit everything all at once. But I've been vaping much less and not smoking cigarettes, so I've been saving my voice up. Yeah, I spoke at a meeting last week. I was the 40-minute speaker, and I was of course, like, dude, they should fucking replace, like, God, this shit's monetized. This channel's monetized. Every time I say a cuss word, it like goes from green to yellow, sometimes red. If you cuss too much, so I will try not to. But I speak very well from the podium. People love it. Like, newcomer women are like, oh my God, sponsor me, and I'm like, no, I can't 13th step you. And like, now that I'm sober, like, my standards are much, much higher. Like, I don't succumb to trash anymore, and I'm celibate and like reborn, so I'm basically a virgin, you know what I'm saying? And I want to save it for the right woman for marriage. Anyway, I was talking about my childhood in this speech, and when I got in trouble in high school my sophomore year, and they put me in IOP. For you people that are not from California, IOP is intensive outpatient. My parents put me in this IOP. I was 15 years old. I hated it, and like, my story wasn't crazy yet. Like, I really was just smoking weed. Like, I'd done ecstasy before, some coke, a lot of drinking, but like, I was really just a stoner. But such a stoner that I would ditch school every day. I'd go for first period, which was math class, which I don't know why they do that. Like, it's the worst. So after math class, I'd hop the fence and go, right? And we go to my boy Brandon's house down. He lived right across the street, and we'd get drunk and smoke weed, and he had pairs of boxing gloves, and we'd have boxing matches in the backyard. Like, the Southsiders would beat my ass, and my jaw still clicks from getting hit in the jaw so hard, dude. And that's how I learned how to fight, was getting my ass beat. I think that's a good method for a lot of you. So I'm in this IOP, and they'd make you, we'd have group 6 days a week, even Saturdays, from, after school. So like 3:30, 4 p.m. to like 9 p.m. every night. But some nights it would get out early because they'd make us go to AA meetings, NA meetings, CA, CMA, that's Crystal Meth Anonymous. And people would be sharing like, yeah, I did 10 years in prison. I, fucking attempted murdered somebody. I got caught with like hella kilos. Like they had all these, and like I looked up to those people. Like I looked up to the gang members. I looked up to the rock stars. I looked up to like the people doing drugs because it looked cool. It looked cool, And so their stories, like when I would share, because I felt like I didn't have anything to talk about. Same with recently, like that's kind of why I haven't been doing videos, but it's not the case at all. I would lie about the drugs I've done. I'd be like, yeah, like, man, I was smoking LSD, or like, I boofed GHB, or you know what I mean? Like that doesn't make sense. Like you can't smoke LSD. Like they got it messed up in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood when Brad Pitt had that dipped cigarette of acid. Maybe, but as far as I know, that does not work. PCP, I smoked a lot of those cigarettes later in life. So I'd make up these stories, and like people would be like, oh yeah. And later on I realized like they had to have known I was lying and just like being cool about it, And so I had to go all the stuff I was talking about, like, yeah, I've smoked crack. Yeah, I've slammed meth. I've shot, coke in my penis. I actually had to go do all those things, And I did. Like, I'd study erowid.org, EROWID. It's still on the internet. And I would study all the drugs and like the effects of the drugs, the legalities of them, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of had an idea before I consumed them what the effect would be like, what the experience would be like. So I got kicked out of that IOP. I was doing ketamine in the bathroom, and they had family group, and I saw like, I swear it was there, but I was on ketamine, so it was probably a hallucination. A spider come down from the ceiling on a web, and like I'm in they call it the hot seat. Like it's like a circle of chairs, all the family members, and then the hot seat is you and like your mom or you and whatever, right? So they're like drilling me about whatever, and I've never done ketamine before, so I was very, very high. And I saw a spider come down on the web like this, and I went, and the counselor's like, did everyone just see that? And they drug tested me and it didn't pop up. I think ketamine stays in your system for like only 24 hours. They could probably, in your urine, I'm sure if they did a blood test, they'd be able to test for it longer than 24 hours, but the test came back the next day. This was like a Monday. They came back on Tuesday, and right then they sent me to Chapman Hospital, which was a dual diagnosis psych ward, substance abuse, whatever. It was a treatment center. I met like the first girlfriend I had in life. Like I was 15, so by this time I'd only slept with probably like 10 women or something. But I met her and it was love at first sight. She was anorexic. I just thought she was like, took care of herself and didn't eat a lot of fatty foods. But the fact is, no, she was bulimic. And they would make her eat and then sit with her for like 3 hours to make sure she didn't puke up the food, right? And that lasted for the whole 6 months that I was in that treatment center. And then, I met another bulimic girl, and she worked at Islands. I don't know if Islands is still around, but it was like, you know, they make like burgers and stuff like that. And she worked at the Islands at Paseo, Colorado in Old Town Pasadena, which is the mall there. And I remember like I took her and a few of my friends to go see a movie, and we were upstairs where the theater is. It's at AMC, I think. And there was like tree, like little trees and rocks in the pot, you know. And we saw, this was like a little bit after The Sixth Sense came out, so Haley Joel Osment was super famous. And Haley Joel Osment grew up in La Cañada, which is like right next door to Pasadena. And Haley Joel Osment gets out of a black Suburban with his squad, you know, and me and the girl and my homies were throwing rocks at Haley Joel Osment from The Sixth Sense. And I'd been dating this girl for like a few weeks, and finally like snuck her into my mom's house. She climbed in through the window, and she wouldn't let me hit. She would not let me hit, but she let me go down on her, right? So I went down on her, and she like pulled her panties off, her sweatpants and her panties, and a bush just went, you know, huge, dude, like, oof, like early 1970s porn. She looked like it was like a Serbian's beard, dude, you know. And I was already there. We were already there. I didn't want to disappoint her. It was my girlfriend, right? And I went down on her. I had no idea what I was doing. Now I do, you know. And ended up relapsing with her. And I smoked salvia with her. And like, I remember we were in her backyard, and she was like, no, you don't smoke it out of a pipe or a bubbler. You got to smoke it out of a bong. Salvia divinorum is a sage plant. It's an extremely strong psychedelic, not compared to, you know, DMT, dimethyltryptamine, or LSD or anything, but it's crazy if you don't know what to expect. And it's kind of similar to Sherm, to PCP a little bit, because it's just very unpredictable. Like, the high is always different. You don't know how it's going to be. You have no control over it. You know, like some psychedelics, you can kind of control your trip, you know. If you're like a psycho, not like me, and you're mentally strong, you can kind of manipulate the trip however you desire. But PCP, ketamine, like salvia, it just takes you where it's going to take you, and you just have to like let it take you there, you know. So she had a 3.5 foot bong, right? A roar, ROOR. Remember those? I don't know if they still make them. I haven't smoked weed in a long time, but we were smoking salvia out of a roar, and this was the only time I did it, and it was wild, dude. Like, I got 2 vapes, double fisting. Got the white gummy ice, the blueberry pineapple kiwi. So I hit the salvia out of the bong, held it in for as long as I could, tried to ghost it, blew it out, and I looked down at my hands like this. And I don't know if you remember the movie The Indian in the Cupboard. For you baby boomers, like, you probably have never seen it, but I loved that movie as a kid. I blew the smoke out, I looked down at my hands, and there were cowboys on this hand, like tiny cowboys this big, and tiny Indians on this hand, and they're having a full-blown war. Like, they're shooting the cowboys are shooting bullets at the Indians, and the Indians are shooting arrows and like the poison darts, whatever, like with the toad venom on them, like And I'm like, oh my God, it's getting really graphic. Like they're cutting their legs off, you know, and I'm just like, "Ugh." And they spiraled up and turned into the constellations in the sky. That was really cool, man. Anyway, after that night, I stopped talking to the Bulimia girl. And I had to get, you know, that was not on my bucket list, but I knocked that off my bucket list, like smoking salvia with a bulimic chick. There was a midget on my bucket list that happened in Vegas years later. I'll get into that another time. She had no fingers, so she would light the bowl like with her toes. Rest in peace to my boy Chris Berta, man. If he was the only if he was still alive, he's the only one that can vouch for me on that. But that's facts. That happened in Vegas. I'll do a whole Vegas series later. So the bucket list, knocked that off my bucket list. Yeah, I had to do more drugs to make up for all the lies I told in Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. I think I told you guys about the first time I smoked crack. I hadn't done meth yet. Heroin was the last drug to knock off my list. I did heroin for the first time when I was 21 years old. That became the love of my life, like more than anything important, more than music, more than my son, more than my family, more than anything. That's what happens with addiction, you know. But I did meth, right? And I'm like, because I was doing a lot of blow at the time, and I hit up my homeboy, and I'm like, yo, I need, you know, an 8-ball, right? And he's like, oh, I'm out, dude. I only got Scante. And I was like, Scante, what's that? He was Mexican, obviously, as most of my homeboys are. He's like, it's meth, fool. And I was like, what? I mean, I've heard bad things. Is it cool? And he's like, yeah, it's cool. It's just like Coke. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, let me get like a gram, you know? And this was like the tail end. This was like 03. So it was the tail end of like the real meth, like the real glass, like P2P, the peanut butter, you know? So I got like pink meth and like yellow meth. I know the yellow and the meth is just like too much iodine or whatever, but it was strong. Like you take one hit out of a pipe or like a bump and you're up with no sleep for 48 hours, you know? And I remember I'm sitting at my desk in my mom's house and I laid out, like I would spell my name out with cocaine. Like this is when we were getting ounces for $500 an ounce, you know? It's like 1,000 an ounce now. And it was fire, dude. I'd spell out my name or like do a mountain. I'd be like, do you want small, medium, or large? Like, you know, so a mountain is a line but squished and big gagger, right? And so I did a line of meth, like it was long, like I don't know, like this long. No, longer. It was like that. And I snorted it, and it burned my nose so bad. Snorting meth feels like snorting glass. Probably why they call it glass, right? And all I remember is like I felt a rush of euphoria, and everything turned white. And I woke up, I don't know, 5 minutes later, or 10, I don't even know how long. It was a time lapse. And I was at the other end I somehow got off my chair at my desk. And I was like 10 feet back, and I woke up flat on my back, and my heart was like, I could not breathe. I was up all night. I hated it. My eyes were so dilated in the morning when my mom made like French toast before school. You can't eat on it, you know? And I'm like, nah, Mom, I'm not hungry. I kind of have a stomach ache. And she's just like looking at me like, dude, what's up with your eyes? Are UFOs, they're bugged out, you know? And I went to school and I was like my heart was hurting, and they had taken me to Huntington Hospital after that to get my heart checked. And I ended up having a heart murmur from like basically essentially ODing on crystal meth, you know. So they had this heart monitor machine on me, right? Like with the sticky things and I had to wear it with this like box strapped to my chest, and I had to wear this to school, and people were like, yo, what is that? And like, I didn't want to sound like a druggie by telling them, oh, I OD'd on meth. So I told them I smoked, like I usually do cocaine, but I smoked crack instead. And that's how I inherited the name Crackhead Steve. And like my homie, one homie in particular, man, shouts to my boy Kyle. He's sober with about 2 years. He was like the only one around from back then who's alive or not in prison that remembers that. And he'll call me that name sometimes, just joking around, you know. You know, it's been a while since I've shared on here. I got to get back into it, you know, in a routine. The homie Marcos from Blessed Savage Clothing, that's on Instagram at blessed_savage_clothing. Just got a warehouse space in downtown LA where we're going to start throwing live events, sober raves, regular raves, underground hip hop shows, have bands there. And there's a little section that we've set up for me just to do my YouTube channel. So I'll be running it with a real camera, not my phone. I'll be doing Friend Fridays again instead of having these backdrops and just doing it random like this. So I promise you guys I will get it cracking again, but it's, you know, I'm gonna leave the video at it for now. Sorry for only 21 minutes and 40 something seconds, but comment below, like, subscribe, follow me on Spotify, Apple Music, Riggy Marz, you know the name. And I have new music coming out too, as well as the rest of the homies from Angelenorecords, The Orchard, Sony ATV, baby. Y'all have a blessed day. Stay strong. If you're struggling, communicate with someone about that. Get it off your chest. Break the stigma. Let's go.